Jeff, what did you see, kind of what happened, the biggest difference between the first quarter and kind of the rest of the game for your squad?
Well, I wouldn't say the first quarter, I'd say the first half. I thought the first half was a very good competitive basketball game, and then obviously we didn't score as many points. We were extremely poor defensively, which is something that's been a concern of mine throughout this entire season. Teams have been shooting 40+% against us on the year from the field, which is the worst that we've had in I think my 17 years here. We're just giving up way too many easy baskets, and then we're not contesting shots. And then that unfortunately led to some poor decisions on the offensive end of the floor. We started the third quarter exactly what we had talked about. We had to get a stop. We got a stop, and then it's a turnover, and then it leads to a layup, then another a turnover after that. We got sloppy with the basketball, and you just can't afford to do that.
For you to improve on the defensive end throughout the course of the season, is it more so just improving the mental mistakes part of it, or what do you need to see specifically?
It's all of it. I mean, we have to become a tougher basketball team. We've got to understand scouting reports. We sat there and told them, Aubrey's a driver. She's going to drive it. And we closed out at her like she was Steph Curry. It's just, you can't even explain it, because we sat there and said, and she made the 1-3 with the shot clock running down. That's great. Make her make 8 of them. But we were extremely poor with that. Aaliyah, driving right, she's going to drive right every time. And she drove right. And we continued to allow her to drive right. So they're just areas that we have to follow a scouting report better. We have normally been really, really good here with following a scouting report. And, if you're going to beat us, we normally are going to lose either just because we have a poor shooting night or because players are going to do things they normally don't do. If you're a 20% three-point shooter and you go 6 of 8 from the three, well, then you tip your hat to them. But unfortunately, there were some things that we had some really bad breakdowns in that second half. And the first half as well. The difference was we just scored in the first half.
Jeff, what's your take on this UConn team and what you see from them? And obviously they've lost 3, which is unusual, but the teams that have beaten them are pretty good teams. What's your take on what they have and what they can do?
Well, I'm shocked he's still got a job. I don't know if Neil evaluates him or who does, but shit, if I was a fan, I'd be pissed. I'd ask for a refund. Yeah, I mean, they've lost 3 games. It's terrible. I mean, Neil, am I wrong? I mean, you're the one that called me and asked me if I was willing to move. I mean, Neil's been making phone calls already, people. Shit. If Gino thinks he's safe, man, he might want to think twice. What's happened in the past is the past, people. They don't care about the past here. It's all about today. He's lucky his car's in the parking lot still. No, they're good. I mean, they got great players. I mean, there are times as a coach when your available players is cut down. See, what that means now is Paige has to be on the floor more. Is that a bad thing? It's not always a bad thing. Sionca Edwards has to be on the floor more. So it makes it easier sometimes as a coach when you don't have as many to put in, because then you don't have to worry about pleasing all of them. Because we are now in a time where if every freshman thinks they should play 30+ minutes. And if they don't, their camp's telling them to transfer. So it's a situation, and obviously you never want to see anybody get hurt. I mean, that's not what you want to see. But because his rotation's shorter, I think it might be something as it progresses that becomes an asset to him. And especially if Aubrey continues to play like she did tonight, and I'm not expecting her to go 9 for 11 every night, but we love the kid at a high school, recruited her hard. And she's got a motor that doesn't stop. She might have an off night shooting the basketball, but she's never going to have an off night effort-wise. And that to me is what you're looking for as a coach. So, I think they're good. I think they're really good. And what I think the other thing that impresses me about them is the players that are supposed to shoot, and the ones that don't. And they get the ones that are supposed to open. And that's easier said than done. But yeah, I think, if they lose 5 games, then yeah, it will not surprise me if there's a coaching change. I mean, Neil, I'm gonna put you out there, but it's, or is it 6? Go ahead.
This is your first time coaching against Paige in college. Where did you see them really impress you?
Well, I coached her coached her at USA basketball, so I know what the kid can do. She's a really good basketball player. She's very efficient. Just look at her stat line: 7 of 12, 4 of 6, 5 boards, 4 assists. She puts up 20, but she's not taking 25 shots to do it. And I said that in my press conference before he came up here. And that I think is what makes her. It's difficult to guard because she's also a willing passer, and she does have some really good players around her too. It's not like, she's out there with a bunch of bad players. So they do their jobs. KK Arnold does a great job of pushing the basketball with tempo and pace. And there's a lot of times where, if you go back and really watch their games, she's not credited with an assist because she's not the one making the pass, but it's like the old hockey assist. She's the one that's drawing the defender that they throw to the wing, and then it goes into Aaliyah. Well, she doesn't get credit for it, but she's the one that started that whole thing. And I just think the pace that she plays at really helps them.
Jeff, something off the game. Louisville has been active in the transfer portal these last few years, and this week the ruling was made about a 2-time transfer not having to sit out. Do you like that? Do you not like that? What's your feeling about it?
Well, I think it's just in effect for 2 weeks, right? Right now, it's a temporary restraining order. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, transfer as many times as you want. Transfer mid-year for all I give a shit. I mean, let them do what they want. Okay, but then reality is going to come back. Turn them into professionals if they want to. But then when you walk in your locker and you've been cut, you've been fired, then I'm waiting to see, okay, how's that going to go about? Because if you want to get paid like a professional, and I'm all for it, that's fine. But then you might get fired too. And are you guys okay? Like, hey, you still have to be eligible to play, which I think should be the case. You are in college for an education. But if I want to trade you at Christmas because I need another guard, well, if we're professionals, then I should be able to trade you. I'll throw in a rack of balls. I mean, I got no problem with it. It's everybody, it's the NIL, which I think is a wonderful idea, but it is so broken. It's the 1% of college athletes, the 1% that can truly do NIL on their own. 1%. Everybody else, reality is this. Everybody else, the coaches, the collectives are raising money for them. That's what's happening. That's how everybody gets a little bit of something. I grew up in northern Kentucky, right by Cincinnati, Ohio. And I went up to visit my family the other day, and there's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And there's one defensive guy that I saw on a billboard. There's 3 players of the entire Bengals roster that I saw up on billboards through Cincinnati. And I could be wrong, but I don't think, is it a 54-man roster for football?
53.
53. I don't think all 53 have NIL deals. I don't think, I could be wrong. But like everybody, every player on every team, football, men's basketball, women's basketball, expects to get NIL. In the pros, and I could be wrong, I don't think every single one of them has some type of deal on the side. So I love the concept of it. But the reality is, what is it? It's collectives going out, raising money to pay players. And you can't say it's pay to play, but I mean, is it not? I mean, if you suck, you're not going to get much money. It's reality. And if you're really good, you're going to end up getting more. You're going to earn it. You can't give it. You're not giving it. You're not promising. You have the opportunity to earn it here. Here's what other players have done here. But within the first 5 minutes of an official visit, when the parents and the players ask, what's the NIL opportunities here? I mean, if you say 0, well, then the visit can end. So let them transfer. I'm all for it, because it's going to be a challenge how this all works. Because it's like I've said, I personally think the transfer portal is going to slow down after next year. Because if you look at ours and you say we've been really active in the portal, we have had some transfers come in. But if you break it down over the last 3 years, I think we've had 12. I think 8 of them would have never been able to transfer if it wasn't for COVID. See, and I've got no problem with that. Mikasa, who's here with me on staff now, Robinson, when she finished her 4 years with me, she came in and I said, what do you want to do? Could you have a COVID year if she wants? She goes, I like the COVID year. I go, well, would you like to try someplace else? She did everything I asked her to do. She graduated. She played her tail off for me. She was a great kid, great in our community. So I asked her, hey, if you want to try something else, I'll help you. I'll make phone calls for you. So this senior class is the last of the free year of the COVID kid, as I like to call them. So I honestly, once this year's over, I think the portal's going to slow down. Because I've got no problem with if you've done your 4 years, like when Paige calls and says she's coming to Louisville, don't get upset with her, people. It's okay. She did her 4 years here, okay? So that is going to slow down.
She has 2 years of eligibility after this,
Well, I don't think she's good enough for 2 years of a scholarship. I'd offer her 1, not 2. Let's not get carried away. Yes, ma'am.
You added Sydney Taylor in the offseason. Can you just talk about what she's brought to the team this season?
I love Sid. She's a competitor. She scores the basketball. I'm working with her to become a better rebounder. She played 23 minutes tonight and didn't get a board. I know she has aspirations of playing after. And I think part of her growth is going to be the toughness side of it. If your three's not falling, what else can you do? Can you shoot a pull-up jump shot? Can you create off the bounce for others? It's things that she's really never had to do before, just because that wasn't what was asked of her. And now we're adding things and challenging her to do other things. But she's a wonderful person. I told him in the locker room after the game, I think that it's one of the most enjoyable teams that we've had here to coach. There's no question about it. I love all of them. Now, I think we're a little too nice at times. So we're going to have to get a little meaner. Because when you're out there competing and there's a loose ball, you got to dive after it. You can't just bat after it. So there's things that we want to improve. But overall, a wonderful, wonderful group. It was just a really poor second half, and I'll take the blame for that.
What are your impressions of Sionca Edwards? I mean, she's undersized, but you guys aren't that big, so...
Well, I think as she continues to improve her 15-footer and 18-foot shot, which she has over her time here, she's very explosive. She finishes around the rim well. We turned her over a few times, but I think she passes the ball well. It's not always about how big you are. It's the heart you got. And she fights, which I've been very impressed. And I think, again, she's very efficient.
Any other questions?
Anybody else? Neil, would you like to address the comments that I talked about? Are you sure? Are you okay? Okay, just checking.